We need change. Put a halt to the arrests, prison releases, maybe even reform the church.
How can you run and plot at the same time?
Should? Does it mean yes?
I'm trying to cut you off.
You can definitely spot the female ones, can't you?
Svetlana!
I have to go. I've got to call the president of Africa.
Stupid politicians feel real because real politicians are stupid. Okay, video over. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. No, but seriously, we all know politicians are stupid. It's like a fundamental law of the universe. But a political comedy that just made that joke, just poked fun at politicians for being dumb, it wouldn't really work. Comedy has to say something out loud that we know to be true, but we haven't said before. That's when it starts to feel real. And I think there's one guy who gets this. A guy who lets us laugh at stupid politicians, but also makes it feel real in a deeper way because he gets it in a deeper way.
Armando Iannucci.
Iannucci is a Brit, a guy who cut his teeth with satires of British politics like The Thick of It and In the Loop, yet he's been able to translate his humor and success to American politics with Veep and even Soviet politics in the death of Stalin. Totally different societies, times, and places, but it still works, not because politicians are always stupid. In fact, Iannucci doesn't even blame the politicians for their stupidity.
It's not about saying, oh, for God's sake, don't go into politics because, you know, they're all animals and have no morals. It's not about that. I think the most sympathetic people in those shows are the elected politicians, actually. They feel the most human.
Instead, his comedy says something else out loud, something we're not so ready to admit to ourselves, but that we know deep down is true. Stupid politicians don't feel real because politicians are stupid. Politicians aren't stupid. They just act stupid, do stupid things, because that's what the system demands from them, what we demand from them. Let me show you what I mean. This is Kent Davison from Veep.
Hi, Kent.
He's the vice president, Selena Meyer's pollster. His job is to run the numbers and tell her what the public wants.
So are we really not doing anything about the hostages now? Nothing at all?
We are doing something.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Nothing. Until the numbers support intervention, doing nothing is the most positive thing we can do.
Not only is this a dubiously effective way of doing politics, not only is the man charged with intuiting public feeling completely devoid of human emotion, more ironic still is the fact that Meyer, a politician whose entire job is to hear and be responsive to public opinion, needs someone to tell her what they want because she is actually so completely out of touch.
Well, howdy, y'all. Oh, my goodness, look at this. Walking the walk, talking the pork. Look at you, a grown woman with cotton candy. Pink like your cheeks. Let me give you both a hug. Oh, gosh, that looks like finger-licking fun. That's a term I just coined today. Do you like it?
It's too real. In turn, she frequently flip-flops and looks like an idiot as the numbers change because she doesn't actually have any principles beyond a distant concept of what other people want from her. But again, Iannucci isn't just poking fun at her for being stupid, he's explaining why that behavior happens, and Kent is just the tip of the iceberg.
You hired him? You hired the biggest bastard in DC.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm fluent in bastard. Okay, it's one of my languages. Amy, I used Dan to get what I wanted.
To advance her agenda, Meyer hires a notoriously slimy power broker, and when the president nixes one of her pet policies, this guy has a scheme to still get it passed.
Actually, ma'am, if I may, I think I have an idea. What if we went to a friendly senator and suggested that he or she take the best parts of clean jobs, the sanctions on polluters, tax breaks for the good guys, and then added that as an amendment?
We can't do this, can we? We can't.
We can do anything we want.
But despite not having her approval, he goes ahead and does it anyway. Then when the president orders her to veto that bill, Meyer's forced to go on the record against her own policy. She looks like a total idiot.
See you later, folks. Wish me luck.
You got Macaulay to add this amendment, didn't you? I know you did.
Whether pollsters or power brokers, Meyer is surrounded with specialists, experts, and underlings whose responsibilities are, in effect, to do all the politics for her. and in turn who often subvert her authority, her intentions, or the desires of the people who elected her. This is one of those things that Iannucci does that just feels real, because we all know, no matter who we vote for, they're not actually doing the job we elect them to do. In part, that's because the modern world is so complex that delegation, to some extent, is a necessity. But it's also emblematic of more systemic illnesses that mean, for example, a politician's primary responsibility these days isn't governing, it's raising money for re-election. Either way, they do look like fools, but the problem is bigger than the politician. This is a challenge practically anyone faces in today's complex modern world, especially if your work has you spread across 10 different platforms for 10 different services. That's where Odoo comes in. Odoo, the sponsor of this video, is an all-in-one business management platform that brings together 45 easy-to-use applications to meet every business need. Odoo has apps for document signing, accounting, website creation, timesheets, email marketing, and so much more. You can centralize your business, optimize productivity with an integrated library of apps, and save time and money by using one platform where all the apps communicate seamlessly with each other. And wherever you do business, Odoo adapts to local requirements by automatically configuring taxes, currencies, rates, and regulations. Your first app on Odoo is always free for life, including unlimited hosting and support. But if you want to get the most out of Odoo, you can upgrade to access all the apps starting at just $24.90 a month. With one platform for everything your business needs, Odoo will make your life much easier. So try it out at the link below. Thank you, Odoo. Now, back to those dumb politicians. So, if a politician isn't taking the public's temperature, isn't trying to get policy passed, then what are they actually doing?
Can you please make sure Nicola's right in the middle? She doesn't look important enough. Can you just move her over?
Just move for a second.
Around here?
Perfect.
They're trying to get attention and approval, to feed the TV ratings, the social media algorithm, whatever it is that a politician thinks will gain them popularity and prestige and eventually votes. In one episode of The Thick of It, Iannucci's breakout TV series lampooning British politics, he takes us along for the ride as the Minister for Social Affairs attempts to announce an exciting policy that will boost his career. But on the way to the announcement,
Should does not mean yes.
No, there's only one thing to do here. It's what
I'm going to tell you to do. Kill it.
I can't kill it. I'm on my way to make the announcement. There's going to be television cameras there and everything.
he finds out the Prime Minister has canceled the policy. So, terrified of canceling the appearance and making a fool of himself, the minister starts brainstorming with his aides.
National Spare Room Database.
What about zoos? My kids went to a zoo, the other day, and they said it was fucking disgusting. The state of it. That's shit, isn't it?
They get nowhere, but the show must go on.
Here we go. It's what you do best, mate.
And he makes a complete fool of himself.
Well, that was a fucking disaster.
Then Iannucci followed up The Thick of It's success with a movie satirizing the UK's entry into the Iraq War alongside America. In one crucial scene, the protagonist, Simon Foster, terrified of saying the wrong thing about the possibility of war, yet equally terrified of saying nothing when he finds himself face to face with a bunch of TV cameras, remarks,
"To walk the road of peace, sometimes we need to be ready to climb the mountain of conflict." Thank you so much.
Both of these men should have shut up. But Iannucci's point is that they actually can't. Becoming a successful politician means turning yourself into an effective attention-seeking machine. And that isn't really their fault. That's the way the system works, the way you win votes, the way you stay alive. And that makes you do stupid things because you're always trying to say the popular thing, even when the popular thing isn't true or possible. You're always hunting for
something sexy and eye-catching, and it is free and universally popular and instantly applicable. No one could possibly object to it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And this makes Iannucci's comedy compelling because it implicates us in the thing that we all hate, in a way that we all intuitively know is true. Even if the politicians like Veep's Selina Meyer are incredibly egotistical.
I mean, it means we're gonna have to undiva my party. We're gonna have to lose those huge photos of me. I know, they're great photos, I know, but there's no way we can have
It's a good idea. We don't want to look like
Stalin.
I was going to say Eva Peron.
Because they satisfy their egotism through our attention and approval. That's democracy, baby. But Iannucci also exposed a similar dynamic at play in dictatorships.
So you get your doctor.
I am the doctor. I'll see to everything. Come on. Go on, you'll be fine. Smells like a Baku piss house in here.
In Death of Stalin, a black comedy following the, well, death of Stalin and power struggle in and literally at his wake, also my favorite of anything Iannucci has done, Nikita Khrushchev keeps a journal of what makes Stalin laugh and what doesn't.
Stalin laugh?
Yeah. He made a joke about the Navy. No laugh.
No more Navy jokes.
And even after he's dead, Stalin's inner circle can't stop jostling with each other to fawn over their dear leader.
He's heavier than I thought he'd be. You think Stalin's too heavy? No, it's a compliment. Gold is heavy.
Leading his deputy, Malenkov, to dress up like an idiot in an attempt to imitate and flatter the dead dictator.
I've scheduled some telephone calls later. And tell me later.
Here, the objective isn't public adulation, it's the favor of the strongman. Yet the upshot is the same, as the people with the responsibility for governing end up behaving like total fools. Taken together, Iannucci has revealed how the stupidity of politicians is motivated by systemic problems of bad incentives, a job too complex for one person to manage, and media and reward structures that gratify shamelessness. The upshot is politicians who don't just act stupid, but are, in a sense, totally helpless and addicted to the attention and approval of others. In other words, they're children. After In the Loop's Simon Foster makes a total fool of himself, he gets in the car and loses it.
Fuck, why didn't we nail the line?
Simon, I did try to warn you.
Yes, you tried to warn me, but you didn't actually stop me, did you?
I can't tackle you to the ground.
Shouting some train at somebody as they get hit by a train. You should go, train, there's a fucking train!
It's inconceivable to him that he could be responsible for making a fool of himself because he lives in a world where he's constantly managed and, yes, babied by his subordinates, such that he has no idea what it means to be responsible for anything.
It's difficult. Lemon difficult.
Yet even Foster is made of sterner stuff than Selina Meyer, the vice president with a bagman more like an emotional support animal than an actual assistant.
Gary!
Yes, ma'am.
I need something.
Okay, is there anything specific?
I don't fucking know, I just need something.
Okay.
Without him, she's completely unable to function, even going so far as to deputize him to break up with her boyfriend.
I need you to end it with Ted.
Okay, what?
Yeah, I want you to let him go.
And though Stalin wasn't subject to electoral pressures demanding constant deference to public opinion, Iannucci still suggests the Man of Steel may in fact have been less secure than we might think. Not only does he have a habit of gulagging even the most minor and imagined critics of his regime, revealing a profound insecurity in his political position.
All right, let's get going.
Time for a cowboy movie. Who's in my posse?
He also demands his subordinates hang out with him and stay up late watching an American Western.
Goodbye forever.
Nor are even they safe from Stalin
on the list,
or from the descent into childish stupidity after he's dead.
No, he said all of you.
No, I was over there. No, and he went all of you.
Yeah, all of you.
No.
Yes.
all of you.
No.
And though throughout all of this we can laugh along, there's one thing Iannucci doesn't let us forget.
I see myself as someone who makes funny things, or who makes things that are mostly funny. There was elements of the death of Stalin which I knew wouldn't be funny.
The thick of it was his breakout comedic success, but it expressed deep frustration with the state of British politics.
I'm gonna have to mop up a fucking hurricane of piss here from all of these neurotics.
Frustration he brought to culmination in the biting critique of In the Loop, a satire of the country's bumbling entrance into the Iraq War, a conflict that practically nobody really wanted, least of all those very real people, many of them totally innocent, who were shortly thereafter bombed, shot at, and killed.
This is all going to spin along from here, and we're going to have a vote, and we're going to go to war, and we're going to fight people, and we're going to kill them, and our children are going to get killed. And this is exactly the sort of thing that I didn't want to do when I went into politics. This is the opposite of what I wanted to be doing.
And Veep, though not commenting on one particular moral crisis of politics, revealed one deeper and more intensely serious than perhaps even Iannucci realized, as for nearly a decade since a few years after it first aired, American politics has been tormented by an egomaniacal man-child whose sole particular talents seem to be a world historical capacity for spinelessness and for the total captivation of media attention through perfectly orchestrated absurdity.
We're going to build a wall. I love the poorly educated. They're eating the dogs. Transgender for everyone.
I call it the N-word. There are two N-words, and you can't use either of them.
And it would be easy to take away from all of this a deeply cynical lesson about democracy. Isn't this whole way of doing politics just some kind of sick joke and embarrassment? But Iannucci isn't that cynical, and we shouldn't be either.
Is this what I came into politics to do, Amy? It's a rhetorical question. Obviously, I didn't come into politics to do this.
For starters, consider the opening scene in Death of Stalin. Two sound techs at a Moscow orchestra receive a phone call.
Who was it? Secretariat of the General Secretariat. Of the General Secretary. Of the Secretary of the General...
Stalin.
He wants a recording of the concert, but they don't have one. So they scramble. They stuff the hall with people off the streets to help the acoustics, basically kidnap a conductor and nearly lose their minds because they must appease Comrade Stalin. Because if they don't...
Shoot her before him, but make sure he sees it. Or in this one, kill him, take him to his church, dump him in the pulpit. And I'll leave the rest up to you.
In regimes like Stalin's, it's not just politicians who have to curry favor. It's everyone. And while an improvement over Stalinism is on its own no great endorsement of democracy, the point is important. Delegation, deference, helplessness turn people into fools. In a democracy, at least that's limited to politicians. At least they're compelled to debase themselves. For us, the brilliance of Iannucci's comedy isn't just that it offers catharsis, an opportunity to laugh at self-obsessed maniacs. It's that he paints a picture of the system of politics. His work reverberates so deeply because it actually exposes the incentives at play and explains why these people act like fools. And in doing so, Iannucci allows us to consider how we might be able to fix those incentives that produce the stupidity. Stupid politicians feel real because we all see it, because they all act stupid, because we all reward them for it. And if it's our attention and our approval thereafter, maybe we ought to stop giving it away so easily. You can imagine how getting all of this right with the timing and everything was a logistical nightmare. So if you enjoyed, please subscribe, join the channel, join the Patreon, buy some merch, or just watch another video.